Hi, this is Matthew Robert Payne, and this is He's Redeeming Love, the story of my life that's captured in a book. This is chapter 75 called Crying Many Tears. The sleep sickness that I was suffering was having a tremendous toll on my life. A year had gone past. I was volunteering in the kitchen with Sarah, spending quite a lot of time and getting to know her. I suppose I'd spent about 6 or 9 months in the kitchen volunteering with her. She was starting to question some of the things I said, starting to object. After a few months of knowing her, she was starting to argue with me and tell me I was wrong in certain areas in my life. And this was a surprise to me because not many people have ever stood up to me and told me I was wrong and were so confident that I was wrong and that they were right. And Sarah had this ability, but the sleep sickness was really taking its toll on me. It was really demanding of me. Just going to sleep, whether it's 9 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night, and not being able to get out of bed till 3 o'clock the next day, having 19 hours sleep, sometimes 17, sometimes 19 hours sleep, and then waking up chronically depressed and tired and nothing but wanting to go to bed. I developed an addiction to sleeping tablets. I was taking sleeping tablets to go back to sleep and get to sleep again so I could get to sleep because I was so tired. It was a tremendous cycle. No prayer. I went for prayer at church a number of times for the sleep sickness to be healed, and I believed in the prayer of the sick and the prayer of the righteous healing people that needed to be healed. And I knew that it was an attack because as soon as I'd conquered my addiction to prostitutes, the sleep sickness had manifested in the same week that I stopped seeing prostitutes. The sleep sickness started, and so I knew it was an attack from Satan, and it was trying to force me to go back to my old ways. And perhaps I was getting a message that if I went back to my old ways of sleeping with prostitutes, then Satan would relent with this sleep sickness and wouldn't let it continue in my life. After about 6 months or a year of my addiction being held at bay and not participating in hiring sex workers to have a dirty massage or go to a prostitute, I went back to Elijah House and ministries, and went back to Elijah House for counselling. And I was walking home one day. I think it was in the second year that I was walking home one day, and I'd been up for 3 days and 3 nights, and the more I was up, the more Jesus would speak to me more clearly. And I remember I was talking to God the Father one night, and I think the sleep sickness, perhaps I'm jumping forward here a little bit for some of the story, and perhaps in later chapters we'll jump back a few years. But for the sake of the story, continuing on the subject of the sleep sickness, about 3 years into it, a couple of years in advance to where we were in the story, I was walking home and talking to God about the sleep sickness, and God said, "We're sorry that the sleep sickness is in your life. There's a reason why the sleep sickness is in your life. We've got it in your life so that you develop perseverance." And I shared that with a couple of friends, that God had said the sleep sickness was in my life to teach me perseverance. One friend got very angry with me and said that God wanted me healed and all sickness is from Satan, and God wouldn't be saying that about a sickness that Satan had caused. And if I accept that statement, it's just me accepting that I'm sick and God's not going to do anything about it, and it's accepting sickness from Satan, and it was actually Satan really talking to me, telling me that it's there for perseverance, but it's no such thing. And he got very angry with me, and I talked to another friend. They didn't seem to agree that God was giving me the sleep sickness for perseverance. I went to my counsellor, and that I was seeing at Elijah House, to deal with some grief and some pain in my life. He had prayed a number of times for me to get healing from the sleep sickness, and he had prayed for other people to be healed physically, and they'd been healed, and he did a lot of emotional healing in my life and other people's lives, so I trusted his prayers. And I shared with him what God had said to me, that the sleep sickness was in my life to develop perseverance. And I asked him, do you think that that was God speaking? He said, I certainly do. He said, it's obvious that you don't understand what perseverance means. And I said, no. He said, perseverance is the ability to press on and go on against impossible odds. And he said, this sleep sickness has been a tremendous strain, and it's impossible for you to go on, and yet you're persevering with it, and you're persevering with life, and you're not giving up on God, but you're pressing on each day with your faith, and you're just proving to God that you're a person that perseveres under tremendous trial. And so I was happy that it was confirmed that God had the sleep sickness in my life for a reason, and that if it was in my life for a reason, then when I learned to persevere enough, when I developed enough perseverance in my life, then the sleep sickness naturally would leave me. And so I spent a lot of time crying tears. I remember one time I was at church called Street Level, and I was up the front, and there was a song about crying in the dark times and crying in the pain and praising God in the storms. And the lyrics came up on the projector, and Robin Moulds, our pastor, Sarah's mother, saw me, and she came over and put her arms around me, and she said, this is when you cry, Matthew, and this is when you praise God. And tears were rolling down my cheeks, and I was singing to God that I love you, and I praise you in the storm, and I praise you in the dark times. God, you are wonderful. And it was amazing to worship God in the midst of my pain. I cannot explain how tremendously hard it was to live with an illness that was causing me to be so chronically depressed all the time, and there's nothing I could do to change it. It just come on from the same week I'd given up prostitutes. It'd come out of nowhere, and there's nothing I could do. It lasted 3 years up until this point, and I was just crying every week. I spent years in church by the time the first 2 or 3 songs had played in church, I'd be sitting in my seat weeping. For years, pain was being leached out of my body, like a leech comes onto your skin and sucks blood out of your body. Pain was coming out of my body as I was crying pain out. Tremendous sadness and depression and loneliness and rejection, and all these pains that I'd grown up with were coming out slowly in the worship at church each week. And so it was a tremendous suffering. I think God gave me the ability through suffering this to have empathy for other people that suffer with depression and sleep disorders and things that they have to battle with that take tremendous perseverance. And so I thought I'd share that subject with you in some depth.